But now joining us is Lisa Duffy. She joins us to talk about her newest book, Mending the Heart. Thanks so much for being with us, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me, Bonnie. It's a pleasure.
Great. Where are you calling us from?
Charleston, South Carolina.
Ooh, and what's the weather like today?
You know, it's during the summertime, it's always muggy, but it's just beautiful. It's sunny and calm, and it's my favorite season of the year.
Great, great. Sometimes we don't get a spring here in New England, but we're doing all right this year. Well, thanks for being with us. You know, I'm always interested in something that explores the annulment process, because I think it's probably one of the most misunderstood processes that we have. So tell us what you think some of the most common misunderstandings are about the annulment process.
Well, I think that some of the biggest misconceptions, probably the number one, is that the annulment process somehow dissolves or does away with valid marriage bond, which is entirely not true. The annulment process determines whether or not a valid marriage bond was brought into being on the day of the wedding. So it's really making a judgment call. You know, it's deciding, now that we know all the facts, did this really happen, or was it never an indissoluble covenant between the spouses and God? That's basically it. So I hope that people who think that the church is doing something slight-handed, it's not true. They're making a valid, genuine determination on what happened. Another thing is, a lot of people think it's a moneymaker for the church, and that's never been the case, but even more so now since Pope Francis has asked all dioceses to make it as free as possible. It's really important for people to understand that, again, the church is acting in the best interests of the people who need healing. Another thing that I think people might think it is a sort of get out of jail free card. You know, with anything, sometimes there is abuse, and I think that people sometimes use it in that manner, but by and large, it is a tool for healing, and it is an opportunity to find out where you stand with the church after a divorce.
Sure.
Talk about, if you could, Lisa, who the book is written for. Is it for those thinking about annulment? Is it just for information for Catholics who might not understand the process?
Thank you for that question. It is for not only people who are considering the annulment process, but people who are generally confused. Also for friends and family of people who are going through the divorce or the annulment process. Oftentimes, there's just an awkwardness in trying to help. People feel that they need pearls of wisdom and all this great advice, when really I think what someone who's suffering that way wants is the presence, their presence in their life, their loving, prayerful, compassionate presence.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about the format of the book. I so agree with you that you know, the misunderstandings also contribute to hurt that people feel when they've had a marriage that, you know, they really want to go through the process of the annulment. And so this format is to foster some healing. So tell us a little bit about how somebody would journey through the book.
Yes. I wanted the tone to be as if I were sitting down with someone over a cup of coffee, talking to them, sharing my own experiences with the annulment process, which I went through in the Diocese of Bridgeport, Connecticut, back in the mid-1990s. And just to try and, you know, help someone, kind of accompany them through that. And I really share a lot of personal stories, stories of some of my friends who have been through the process. So I can, you know, have a sort of softer, gentler tone that helps people not think that the annulment process is so intimidating, and really kind of have a chance to understand more about it.
Yeah, and along those lines, Lisa, too, the importance of kind of knowing, as you mentioned, too, that the process, but there's the healing process, but as well as the sort of, you know, finding your way through the annulment process in your diocese, you know, and that can be a little tricky, but, you know, to have something like this to sort of guide you along the way.
Yes, it can seem intimidating, especially when this is a significant part of your life. And with all the misunderstandings, it's hard sometimes to really kind of wrap your mind around what's going to happen. So a lot of dioceses offer advocates or case assistants for people going through the annulment process, but that's not the norm necessarily. So I'm hoping that my book can sort of serve in that purpose, answer some questions, get some important feedback, hear from other people who have been through it, and just generally help offer some understanding.
That's just really a great response to people who are in really a time of turmoil and just questioning and looking how they're going to make their faith life journey continue even in the midst of a divorce and going through the annulment process. Where can people learn more about your work, Lisa, and get their own copy of the book?
The book is available at osv.com. It's published by our Sunday Visitor.
Yeah.
And my website is lisaduffy.com, and there they can find my parish program, my other books, and a lot of supportive material.
Great. Thanks so much for taking the time to share the information about the book, because it's certainly an important factor for us in the church. So thanks so much for your time. Enjoy that great spring weather, and we look forward to learning more about the process. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thanks.